This is the watch this video for Wednesday, August 15th. My account is at highs for the year, again as of today, but I am grinding it higher. I'm telling you, it is a battle out there. There's not much volume, and so really cutting down my position size and just trying to make a little money each day. But, you know, I'm proud that I don't have wild equity swings, and that's because I practice what I preach, which is a defense first mentality no matter what. You have to succumb to a few trading death spirals in your career before you actually learn defense first is everything. And if you're listening to this and you're a newer trader and you don't know what the heck a trading death spiral is, you probably will someday. If you've been in one and you've never heard that term, you immediately know what I mean. Okay, if you've been in one, you trading death spiral. Yeah, that was it. I've been in one of those. So they're very self-explanatory. I got to get a new chair. This thing is squeaking so bad. All right, so anyway, here's the watch list for Wednesday. Nice bounce on the SPY again. It kind of held the 20-day, or it did hold the 20-day. Trying to turn back up. We'll see. But again, very, very low volume. Don't have a big list for today. TIS just put in, inside of this big candle it hit yesterday. Just an inside candle today. I don't love this because it's a really beaten up stock. And I would prefer this two candle setup right here that you see. I would prefer this when, looking to the left and having no overhead resistance. You can't say that here. You've got a ton of overhead resistance, but it does have recent high relative volume and a big day yesterday. So, I'm scrambling trying to find things to watch. So that one made the list. This for further proof that I'm scrambling, this IFMK made the list. You had a big pop back here, a little bit of a lower high back here, and you kind of have a two-day high right around 380. I would point out that today it only traded 124,000 shares, so it literally feels like nobody is trading right now. It's very, very thin. I think I took 2 trades all day today. So TRUE had this island down here, but you could kind of picture a cup and handle that broke out. A cup and handle breakout 3 sessions ago, then 2 sessions ago kind of pulled back and had an indecision candle. Well, closing below its open, and today kind of had that indecision candle where it closed about right where it opened. So you've just got lower highs and higher lows. So I just look at that as after the breakout, it's consolidating. And if we get a low risk long setup, I'll give TRUE a shot. TAIT. This one had a big pop back here and then another pop here to give it a lower high, kind of a lower high here. As I sat down to make this video, I just happened to notice that this thing was trading around 247 in after hours. Now, it doesn't look like it was much volume, so this goes on my, hey, let's watch it in the morning and see if it's gapping, see if there's some news. And it could just be, somebody buying it after hours, not really knowing what they're doing, and it might not even gap up tomorrow. It's an okay chart, minus the gap, but if it gaps up, it's a little more interesting. Again, a very thin stock. Doubt I'll trade it. Speaking of gaps up, NSYS had this huge move here, all the way back down, pretty much round tripped. But in after hours, it was trading on looks like decent volume after hours, trading right below $5. So this could be a gap and go tomorrow. I didn't take the time to look at the news because I'm assuming there's news anytime something moves like that in after hours. But I don't really care because it's going to have to meet my intraday, technical setup before I'll take a trade anyway. So certainly going to be on the possible gap and go list tomorrow. We have very strict parameters in place to trade those, so it may or may not set up. AWX, crazy move here. Then it put in a lower high here. Nice afternoon rally here. I saw this whole thing. Didn't do anything with it. Unfortunately, I think I'd mentioned it in the video that I liked it over 4. And had I seen it, I'm telling you, this market lulls you to sleep. Next thing you know, sitting in your office looking at all these screens, you find yourself in the kitchen grabbing a sandwich or out talking to your family or whatever because the market's so boring right now. Had I seen it when it looked like this, again, if you watch my video, I thought, hey, it topped out at 4 yesterday. If it breaks 4, you got a little gap to fill. It might be worth watching through 4. Well, then look what it does. It puts in a narrow range. Nobody's trading it. No volume. Then it breaks the high of day and then puts in a nice flag below 4. I like a little tight flag like this. Basically at a 2-day high on a recent high flyer. So I would have loved this through 4, but I wasn't around. That would have been a really nice trade. I was probably out there getting a sandwich. Who knows? I'm going to watch it again tomorrow, though, because it did have a nice, strong close. So that's worth watching. A couple more. BOOT had the gap up. Then it looked like it was, then the next day probably looked like it was topped out and going to fill the gap. And then next thing you know, it held up pretty well. And now a new recent high. So even though, keep in mind, 3 green days in a row, that is not the time, to get long something with size. But if it gives a low risk setup, maybe an inside candle and then a tight flag right below today's high, like in other words, maybe it gaps down a little bit. We get a flag below 28, and then we know that today's high was 28.30, so that could be another catalyst. That might be a setup, but I always try to keep in mind something that's gapped up and then still running. I look at that and say, say basically it's extended and I probably won't trade it. But you never know. Sometimes you log in the next day and you get a really nice setup, and you already know it's a strong stock, so it is worth having on the list. XBIO had that huge day yesterday. Then today gaps down, takes out yesterday's low. I don't love this at all, okay? But you have a high from the gap up and then a lower high today. If this can trade, I mean, my favorite scenario here would be if it can trade in a 10 to 15, 20 cent range for a few hours and then all of a sudden break through the high of day, it might be worth a shot. So that's really the only thing I'm looking at. It's not like I love this chart either. And believe it or not, that is it. I usually have a longer list than this, hoping to find a couple extra nice looking gappers or some news plays on the scanners, as the day unfolds tomorrow. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. I thought I had one more that was worth showing, but it's really not. So check the links down below. There's some really nice special offers, and we'll see everybody in chat on Wednesday. Have a great night.